Alright guys, so here's the car after the track day at New York State Safety Track, S2K Takeover 2018 May edition. The only kind of scuffs on the car from when I was coming up behind people and they were kicking up chunks of rubber from the track. So there's quite a few skid marks, if you will, on the paint of rubber blasting the front end. You know, it's all over the sides, you know, it's on the side strakes quite a bit, and just miscellaneously all over the front of the car. I'm going to try to use a little Goo Gone and lightly scrub it with probably a microfiber, and then normally hand wash the car afterwards to get all of it off. Here's a good look at the fitment in the front. I did have a little fender rubbing during the track day. As you can see right there, the 255s are pretty much flush with the fender. The fenders on this car are stock. No modifications are made. Even the fender liner is stock, so I can feel it shave down quite a bit from taking all the left-hand turns. You know, you're really loading the right side, and this was probably flush with the tire. All that wheel gap was probably gone when cornering so hard. So I could feel that the tire definitely rubbed up in the fender a little bit and melted its own clearance into it. I'm going to get a better detailed clip of that when I take the front tires off. I mean, same thing with this side. Fitment's pretty much the same. That 255 is pretty even with the edge of the fender here, and I'm feeling inside this one. I still got a clip up here, and I actually have both clips still. This side's a little less shaven down because there are not many right-handers that load the left side at New York State Safety Track. It's mostly left-handers, so when I did take my father and my brother for a ride in the car, they added an extra, 200 pounds to the passenger side. So all those left-hand turns with an extra passenger on that side of the car definitely gave that right front tire a beating, and loaded the right side of the car a lot more, which rubbed the fenders. But shouldn't be a problem for autocross and stuff. You're really going to see some big time wear on the fenders when you're driving it really hard at the track. Again, the front end is very stiff. There's 12K Swift springs on the Öhlins. I was running 4 clicks from full stiff on the Öhlins for the dampening, and the Carcep's front sway bar, that's a 1.25 inch bar with a 1/4 inch wall, that was at the second from full stiff on the track, which is exactly what I run on the autocross. That seemed to work best for me. The car handled amazing on the track with the autocross setup. Alright, so here we are. I got the tires off the car. I just changed the brake pads back to the OEM pads to finish out, to keep going with autocross. I only use the track pads for the track days I do, so I just put the OEM pads back in. They're plenty good for autocross. The rotors are original on this car. I'm almost at 80,000 miles now with the car. They're starting to pulse a little bit, but it seems like the race pads straighten them out once they go on the track and really shave them down pretty good. So those probably have to be replaced in the near future, maybe next year, but I'm going to keep running them. There's no really signs of cracking or anything up close on them. Definitely wasn't overheating the brakes. The pads held up fine. I never had any fade issues with the street race pads again. And this time I took off 5 seconds from my time at that track compared to last year. So pushing the car a lot harder this year. It's a lot faster with the obviously the suspension and everything. So the stock brakes with pads on it seem plenty fine still. But here is what I was talking about for the fender. This is with the 17 by 9 plus 60 PF01 wheel. So on the inside of the fender, you can see there is a little bit shaven down. It actually wore a hole near this clip from all the left-hand turns. So that's the worst of it right there. You can see the car only rubs tires on the plastic part. Like I said, when I'm talking about the fender, I'm not actually meaning the tire makes contact with the metal. That would be pretty bad. But yeah, it's just shaving a little plastic down. There's really no danger of the tire actually grabbing the fender and ripping it off like you've seen probably before online, but it just made its own clearance there. Probably won't ever touch that during autocross since you're just doing quick maneuvers. At the track, you're holding a really long turn with that tire tucked up in there for a long period of time, so that's what shaves down the fenders. I mean, there was a little contact with autocross, but it's only for a split second, so it doesn't really wreak havoc on the fenders. And then there's that side. That's the back side. There's no clearance problems in the middle because the fender liner kind of has this pocket for the tire, but only on the edges where it steps out here is where the problem is. And the back side, like I said, I lost a clip just because the tire shaves down so close to the clip. I actually it pops the clip out in some cases, but you know, on this side the clip kind of stayed morphed in there and it's all melted together now. But that's what you can get away with stock fenders, no rolling them or anything. You can really fit a big tire in here with minimal rubbing. So the driver's side's only got a little wear right there next to the clip. It's not even broke through yet. And then back here towards the rear, it shaved the clip a little bit, and it's worn through, I think, a tiny bit there from autocross, but I don't think this rubbed too much when I was on the track because it was all left-handers. There was only a couple right-hand turns, and I know the tire really never tucked up in there too much. So next thing on my list is a set of chip guards. They're basically like little tiny splash guards that will prevent rocks from hitting the side of the cars, because as you can see, just from the track day, since I have 255s up here, they really stick out with the 3.5 degrees of camber. The rear, or the bottom of the tire really sticks out pretty far, and it throws rocks at the side of the fender when you're on the track, and you can see all the rubber it threw at the side of the car. And then it created a lot of rock chips on the edge of the fender here. So I'm going to clean this all up good. I'm going to fill in the rock chips with touch-up paint. I'm going to clear coat them, and then I'm going to put chip guards on, so that'll avoid a lot of it in the future. And I'll make a separate video when I put those chip guards on. Alright, so here are the right side tires from the car. The worst one is the right front. That took the most abuse at the safety track. And as you can see, this has about 800 miles on it, only 5 autocross events and 1 track day. And you can see up close the right side. This is the outside of the tire, and this is the inside. And the inside has a lot more material on it than the outside. That just shows you how much the tire rolls when you're pushing the car hard at the track. And this is with 3.2 degrees of negative camber up front. It still rolls and bites on mostly the outside of the tire. This kind of just folds underneath the car and doesn't really scrub off that much. So kind of interesting to see. These tires are really fast, but they disintegrate quick if you push them hard. So don't plan to get much life out of them if you are going to race with them. Here she is, guys. Just finished washing her up. Took me a long time to get the rubber marks off the car. I used a lot of Goo Gone and microfibers. Kept scrubbing and rinsing and scrubbing, reapplying the Goo Gone. Got like 95% of it off. The rest of it, probably going to have to take some rubbing compound and buff the paint a little bit, because there is some stuff that didn't come out, like on the side strakes there. But overall, I'd say the car cleaned up pretty well. All I got to do now is wait for the chip guards to come in. I'm going to do a little touch-up paint work to fill in a lot of the rock chips I got from the tires throwing rocks at the side of the car, and a few on the front that I got racing behind people at the track. But other than that, pretty happy with the way it turned out. So let me know what you guys think.